My name's Danae Jordan. I'm the interim patient care manager for the palliative care and pediatric services team at Community Hospice. This is my mother-in-law, Jackie Jordan. We're here to talk today about my brother-in-law, Jason Jordan, who was on Community Hospice services towards the end of his life. Jason was born in June of 1986 here in Modesto. As a little kid, for the stories that I hear, is that he was a typical little boy. He loved cars, he loved wrestling. He got into trouble sometimes, but he liked attention. He liked to make people laugh, and he got both good and bad attention. He would either make people laugh or he would get in trouble. So Jason graduated high school at Riverbank in 2004, and the next year he graduated from an EMT program, and he realized that that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to work in healthcare. He loved the excitement of being on calls. He loved the hours. He loved being an EMT so much, and he decided he wanted to be a nurse. This is around the same time that I started dating his younger brother and became part of the family. And so him and I had actually both wanted to be nurses at the same time and did some of our prerequisite classes together. When Jason was 22, we were on a family trip to Disneyland, and he was feeling ill. His legs were swollen. He was having a lot of cramping. He ended up staying in the hospital for about 3 weeks when our family found out that he was diagnosed with lupus and stage 4 kidney failure. So that was kind of the beginning of a 10-year battle of just slow decline, and sort of Jason kind of having to change his plans and who he was. When he was diagnosed, he was already in stage 4 kidney failure, so he was already very sick, and it was a slow decline, and it took its toll very slowly. So where he was very spontaneous, where he was very joking and laughing, and he was kind of like the life of the party, it slowly just sort of changed to him sort of staying in and feeling ill.
His illness took his life away, and his personality away.
So when he was 26, he had to start doing dialysis 3 days a week. So from the time he was 26 to the time he died when he was 32, he went to dialysis for 4 hours a day, 3 days a week. It was kind of sad because in 2016, when I got accepted into nursing school, I shared the news with him that, I got accepted. I was getting to be able to live my dream. And, although he was very excited for me, I could tell it was very hard for him because he had to accept that he would never get to live his, and that was really difficult.
When he started dialysis, at first he was always comforting me because it was so hard on me. But as the years went by, he got really depressed, and I was a comfort to him then. I would go with him and sit with him a lot. If he didn't want me to sit with him, I wouldn't, but most of the time he did. He got where he couldn't drive anymore, so I would drive him. And as it progressed, he just got more and more depressed and more in pain. His happiness went away, and he just got tired of being sick and going. He was in and out of the hospital with collapsed lungs, fluid around his heart. He'd spend sometimes 2 weeks in the hospital and then back to dialysis. Of course, he had dialysis in the hospital also. But his body finally just got so tired, and he would tell me at times that he was ready to give up, and I would beg him, Jason, please don't. And he wouldn't give up. But when it came to the end, I had to stop being selfish and tell him I understood. His body just couldn't take it anymore.
And my husband texted me and said, Jay wants us all at the hospital. On my drive to Modesto from Stockton, I kept thinking, is there a new treatment? What's he going to tell us? Is he going to tell us that, he's going to stop dialysis? I just kind of was worried the whole way there. So I was the last one of everybody to get to the hospital, and I sat on his bed, and he said that he decided that he's too tired and that he wants to go on hospice, and that he wants to be home, and he wants to be surrounded by everybody that he loves, and he wants to just remember the good times and everybody be laughing, and he wanted to spend his last days at home. So they called a hospice liaison who was there within a few hours, and she was very kind. I remember her being very kind. She answered all of our questions. She made sure that the family understood what this meant. She identified what kind of needs Jason would have, and then she left to go talk to the charge nurse. So during that time, I could see that Jason's oxygen was desaturating, and I asked him, I'd been a nurse now for some time, and I'd asked him, is everything okay? Your vital signs don't look good. And he's like, I'm fine, I'm okay. And that was kind of what he would do with the family, with everybody except for his mother, was he would just say, nope, I'm okay. And he would kind of just suffer quietly and then just tell her whatever he was feeling. So he still did that in his last moments. And so the hospice liaison and the charge nurse really fought for Jason to come home. I think they could tell that he didn't have a lot of time left. And so the charge nurse really pulled a lot of strings with the hospital physician and the hospice physician.
When he told us about wanting to go home with hospice, once he found out he was going to be able to do that, his face lit up, and he was like the old Jason. That was his best day in 10 years probably. It just was a weight lifted off of him, that he was finally going to just be out of pain soon and be out of misery soon.
We went out to the family house at 9 o'clock at night on a Sunday, and the DME manager, George, is who met us out there. And he was so kind and just so sweet and so concerned. And we told him about Jason. He was so detailed with the equipment, with everything he needed, how he was going to use it, whatever questions we would have, how to contact him. He was wonderful, and we felt at ease. We knew that when he came home, he would be safe and have everything that he needed. Once Jason got home, we got him in his hospital bed comfortably. We had set everything up. You brought over the medications that he would need. Yeah. We put the oxygen by him, gave him his phone, and got him just comfortable. Right as we were leaving, we gave him a hug and kiss and told him we would see him in the morning. At 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, I had just closed my lid of the laptop, and my husband came out of the bedroom, and he said, kind of half awake, Dad called, Jay died. She had told us about his last minutes.
Yes, he had a hard time breathing, so he sat in his office chair most of the time and slept in that chair when he could sleep. So he asked me to go get his chair and bring it in the living room so he could sit in it, and somehow I got him in that chair because he couldn't walk. Anyway, so I got him in it, and he hadn't ate for 2 weeks because he just couldn't hold anything down. So he asked me, Mom, I'm hungry. I said, okay, what do you want? And he loved the little fruit bowls. So I go, do you want a fruit bowl? He said, yes. So I went and got him a fruit bowl, and he just drank a little bit of the juice, and he just swallowed it, but then he couldn't hold it down. I think he just wanted the taste of something. And then he asked me, he goes, Mom, what am I going to do with this anxiety? And I told him, I go, Jay, they gave me some medicine for it. Do you want it now? And he thought for a second, and then he said yes. So I gave him a little. I didn't even give him the full amount. I just gave him a little bit of it. And so he took that, and then he got hot, and he took his shirt off, and I was trying to cover him. He goes, no, I'm hot, So anyway, I took his shirt off of him for him, and I said, I'm going to be right here beside you, And I said, do you want the lights on? And he says, no, let's turn them off. And I could hear his oxygen and everything. So I was just laying there, and all of a sudden I could tell he was getting, the oxygen noise was getting lower and lower. So I jumped up and I turned the light on, and I could see he was going. So I grabbed him and I put his head on my chest. And he looking up, and he just took his last breath. And then he was gone. And then I was thinking, because my husband had went back to bed because he was sick. He had had a cold. So I'm thinking, how am I going to hold him or put him where he's not going to fall and go get my husband? So, because he was sitting in that chair. So I managed to put him back, and he stayed there. And I ran, and I said, Stacy, Jason's gone. And he looked at me and he goes, gone? He can't even walk.
Where did he go?
And I said, no, he passed. So he came, he ran in there, and so he took his last breath on my chest. So I always feel like that was very special, even though it's very hard.
She had the wherewithal to, I don't know how you did, but to call hospice to say that he passed. And so the hospice on-call person came and pronounced him, and she gave us some time to be with him, and she helped us get him dressed, helped comb his hair, and then his dog jumped on top of him. I think he wanted to say goodbye to him.
No.
And she normalized it
and
for
she
us.
Goes, why?
Yeah.
Why do you not want the dogs? And we have another little dog. Why don't you want them up there?
And we were like, yeah, it occurred to us
she goes,
that,
let him. They just want to, smell him and stuff. And so she let him up there, and they did. They smelled him, and did Harper lay down there for?
Yeah, Harper did.
And so, she was really sweet.
Yeah, and it was great that she got to, she kind of just normalized the situation, and
and she gave us like 2 hours.
And she reminded us that everybody says goodbye in their own way, and that anything we were feeling is normal, and it's okay to feel how we're going to feel. And she stayed with us until the funeral home came and picked him up. And so it was just nice to have that there, because he'd gone so fast that everything was just confusing, and everything was just really hard, and we were in disbelief. And so just having her there was just really great and helpful.
If you want to hold his hand. If you want to lay by him, She was very helpful.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Yeah. I have to say, we did not have a bad experience with anybody from here. Everybody was helpful, from the liaison to the DME person to the person who came and pronounced him to the counseling. It was a really big deal, and of course important for him to live his last days on his own terms. He wasn't going to let his illness dictate what he did anymore. And I really feel like thanks to the charge nurse at the hospital, and thanks to Community Hospice, he was able to pass on his own terms. The morning that he passed, after she told us how he went, we were all sort of elated that this experience that we had dreaded for 10 years was really kind of a beautiful and poetic experience. I mean, who who thinks that when they die, it's going to be like a mirror image of their birth? I mean, he left the world the same way he came in his mother's arms, being held and loved. And I think that that's an amazing gift that any of us would be lucky to have, and it's a gift that our family can never repay. It really was a beautiful experience. Working with Community Hospice, it's very easy to understand what the families are going through, because me and my family have been there as well. So I'm just very grateful that every day I could give back in the way that our family had received help and support. When after the months after Jason died, we did counseling, and our counselor Alexis was wonderful. She listened with empathy. She gave us kind and compassionate words of support, and I think that it's an invaluable service for the families who are on hospice services, and I think our family got a lot from that. So when about a year and a half ago, we were having a dedication for the Giving Tree, and at that point I had been working here for about a year, and so I knew that I wanted to get a leaf for Jason. So I had bought a leaf for Jason on our Giving Tree that's behind reception in the Swire's office. And so every morning I come in and check in at the front desk to get my temperature taken, and it's really great to get to say good morning to him. He's right there greeting me as I walk into work and encouraging me. I keep a picture of him right above my desk. When I am stressed out, I tend to kind of lean my head back in frustration, and he's right there in my line of sight. And so he's always with me here. It's really encouraging to know that he is still cheering me on, and he's here with me every day, making sure that I am doing my best to provide support and care to our community. I think that everybody, when they have to see their family member go through such a hard time at the end of their life, I think that it helps to just hang on to and remember who they were before, and not really all the awful, difficult things that they went through. So if you can get anything from Jason's story, it's, live life 100% while you can, and be there for each other and love each other. And there are people out there who care about you, who have never met you before, and they want to help you, and all you have to do is reach out.